So today we are going to talk about a new lesson in social, and we are going to discover more about our history and about the history of the whole world. Now, the last time we took the Phoenician Empire, and we said that the Phoenician Empire, it's a great empire because it took the places that around the Mediterranean Sea, like for example, Lebanon, Syria, Palestine, Jordan, and it took all these places, but they didn't stay there, but also they arrived until Spain, until Italy, and the north of Africa. And we said that the Phoenician people, they were what? They were people of the sea. يعني people who are caring about fishing, about discovering the sea, about building ships and go around to discover other countries around them until they reach Spain and Italy and also north of Africa. After the Phoenician people, actually, there was another empire who came who conquered the empire of what? The empire of Phoenicia. Let's see who are those people and what happened after the Phoenician Empire. This is our lesson today. Our lesson today it will be about the Hittites and Ashurians. Go please to your books to the page. Just a minute. Go please to your books and open the page 105 in the notebook, in the student book. So our lesson today is about the Hittites, it's an empire, and also another empire, the Ashurians empire. So Hittites and Ashurians. Today, inshallah, we are going to talk about only Hittites. And then after that, we are going to talk about the Ashurian empire. Let's go ahead and see who are the Hittites people and the Hittites empire. So first, let's revise together. First, we have the Phoenician Empire. As I told you, Phoenician Empire was around the Mediterranean Sea. Those people, they cared mostly about the sea, about conquering the sea and discovering more metals and more resources from the sea. They conquered also the north of Africa and also they reached Spain and Italy. Those are the Phoenician Empire, and those are their ships, as you can see. Okay, after the Phoenician Empire, who came? Another person who came in history, his name Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great. Alexander was a person from the Greek Empire and the Greek society. He came and he said that I want to conquer the whole world. I will not take one country or another country. No, I want to rule the whole earth. And he did that actually. He went for the whole earth country by country. He conquered them one by one until he conquered the Phoenician Empire. Conquered, it means he invaded the place and he took it for himself. Okay, this is what's meaning of conquer. He defeats those people, the Phoenician Empire. When he defeat the Phoenician Empire, their empire was gone. Now there are no more of the Phoenician Empire. Why? Because he took their country and he built his own country upon their base. Now, Alexander the Great, he stayed there for a long time. And then in the 16th century, another empire came. They called what? The Hittites. The Hittites, they were people who lived in where? They lived in they took some of Turkey right now. This is the land of Turkey. They took some of Turkey. They took the north of Iraq and Syria, Lebanon, Palestine, Jordan, and also some part of Egypt. Those are the people. Yani, instead of Phoenician Empire who took from this part to this part, no, they expanded and extended to go what? To go and take some part of Turkey. Like, what is the significant thing about those people? Okay, they took some part of Turkey, they took some part of uh, the north of Asia. So what? Actually, those people, they were a great civilization because they were the first people ever to use what? To use the weapons. So they started from 1,500 to 1,000, from 1,200 to 1,500. They included Asia Minors, Palestine, and Syria. Their decline and fall, continuous warfare with Egypt, 1200 BC, conquered by northern barbarians, eventually observed by Assyria. So this is like a glance of their history. How they started? They started at the year of 1500 BC. طيب why يا miss we write this long or big number here and this one small number here? 1200 is less than that. So why don't we write like 2000 until 2005, for example? This is what we do in our history, right? Like why they are writing like this? No, we are writing like this because we are counting the numbers before the birth of the Christ, اللي هي قبل ولادة المسيح. Everything before the history of the birth of the Christ, they call it BC. BC, it means before the Christ. Then we will go from a big number to count down, count down, count down until we reach the birth of Jesus Christ. Okay, so here, this country or this civilization, it lasted for how much? More than 300 years. And they included some part of Asia, which is Turkey, and also some Iraq, and also some Syrian, and also some Jordanian, and Beirut, and Palestine, and Egypt. All of this were their country, like this. This is the shape of it. But they stayed for 300 years. Then what happened to them to vanish after that? What happened to them? Actually, what happened? They had a long fight with Egypt. A long fight with Egypt. This fight with Egypt, remember, Egypt is in the African continent. This is the African continent, and this is Egypt. Beside Egypt, there was Algeria, Tunisia, Moroccan, and also we have Libya, all of them beside Egypt. Those people who lived in this area, we call them barbarians, al-Barbar. Barbarians also were people who had a big civilization, and they lived in what? In North Africa. Because of the Hittites people, they were fighting Egypt, and Egypt is part of Africa. The barbarian people came to defeat Egypt, and thus they have a war between the barbarian and between the Hittites people. And who won? Guess what? Who won at that war? What do you think? Who won? The barbarian. The barbarian people, they defeated the Hittites people and they invaded their country. And after 300 years, their country and their civilization vanish, which means it's gone. Okay, طيب those Hittites people أصلا, where did they came from? يعني, are they Arabs? Are they like African? Who are they? No, the Hittites people actually, they came from some part of Europe. And they came to live in those areas, Turkey and Palestine, and they invaded this area and lived in it for about 300 years. And they started their own civilization until they were conquered upon what? The barbarian people. طيب, if we come right now to see what is the major thing about those people. One thing, we call this civilization, it's Mesopotamia civilization, أو حضارة ما بين النهرين, which means what? They took the most fertilized places from Turkey and Syria and Lebanon and Palestine. And those areas, they have what? They have two rivers, two major rivers. One river is called Dijla, which is in Iraq, and one other river is called Al-Furat, also which is in Iraq. Dijla goes also in Syria and Iraq. So they lived in those areas, so we call it Mesopotamia civilization, حضارة ما بين النهرين. Those people who lived in that area, Hittites, they have major impact on the economy, because unlike the Phoenician Empire, who only cared about the sea and about hunting and about having fishes and resources from the sea, those people, they lived on the land more than the sea. They cared more about the land. But from where they bring their economy and their money, they had monopoly on Armenian and European metals for hundreds of years, which means that they controlled the usage and the creation of what? Of the metals and of the weapons. They were the first people to develop iron for tools and weapons, because before those people, Alexander the Macedonian, Alexander the Great, he came to conquer the whole world with what? with bronze. And the people at that time, they didn't discover iron yet. Nobody knows what does it mean iron. The first person ever to find the iron and to discover the iron and use it was who? Was Dawood alayhi salam. And Dawood alayhi salam was the first person who ever know that there is another metal. It's called iron, and we can use it actually to make weapons, to make also some clothes, like shields for us to protect us from other people. When people find iron, they defeated the bronze. Why? Because iron is stronger than bronze. Bronze اللي هو النحاس. Who is stronger? Of course, iron is stronger. So if you hit iron to bronze, the iron will cut the bronze. This is why the civilization of Alexander the Great was vanished. Why? Because when they discovered the iron, of course, they conquered those people and they killed them, and their civilization was gone. And then another civilization came to existence, which is the civilization of iron, and the people who had the iron were the strongest people. One of those people, actually, they were the Hittites. And from the iron, they made their own weapons. One of these weapons, they call it the chariot, or it's a small car that is on wheels. Not car, it's like cart on wheels, and they use it that was dragged by the horses. Wealth from trade, okay, from where they bring their economy and their money. They had the wealth not from the sea this time, no, they had it from metals. They used to trade with gold, iron, lead, and silver. Those are the things that made them rich and made their civilization grow. Unlike the Phoenician people, they were so peaceful people. They didn't have weapons at that time, and they have only ships to conquer the areas around them on the sea. But they didn't have weapons. That's why when Alexander the Great, he came to Phoenician Empire, he was able to defeat them because they weren't able to stand in front of him. They didn't have much of weapons, and they didn't know anything about iron nor bronze. Those people were weak in the Phoenician Empire. But unlike the Phoenician Empire, who were peaceful and searching only for food and for the sea, the Hittite people, they were people of war. We call them, during history, we call them fearsome people. Fearsome, which means that they are fearing nothing. They are daredevils. They are daring people. They are brave people. They wanted to fight other peoples. That's why they expanded to go to Egypt, although Egypt is another continent, but they wanted to expand their civilization. And eventually, their greed desires made them actually vanish and gone after a while. Trade shown in numerous excavated clay tablets, which means that they also have their own way of calculation. They have their own way of writing. They have their own civilization. And one thing I want to tell you also about them, let me show you this. Actually, their civilization was so organized that they have a king. They were ruled by a king. And then they have also heavily fortified city walls, which means that when they make their cities in Turkey or in Syria or in Lebanon, they always make their city surrounded by walls to protect it from other enemies. That's why if you go now for Syria and for Lebanon, you will find some ruins of those people, and you will find some walls of the Hittite Empire. And they were the first people who have written laws show Babylonian influence. Now, you remember in the Phoenician Empire, we said that the Phoenician Empire were the first civilization ever in history to came up with alphabet. Remember? Alphabet. The first people who made that was the Phoenician people who found the alphabet. After they found the alphabet, they were able to teach, to learn, to study, to write, whatever they like. But we don't have anything that is written from their language except for the alphabet. When we come for the Hittite people and we search in their history, we found there's a lot of ruins like this and something written on clay or stones. And they are writing with this language. They have their own alphabet, and now they have what? They have a whole language. Something is written. This language, we call it اللغة المسمارية, which means nail language. Why? Because their language is like nails, as you can see right here. It's like you are hitting some nails inside the stone. But it is a language. يعني if you bring some person from their city, he will be able to read all of this written thing. It's a language for them. So those Hittite people were the first people to have something written in their city and in their lives. And we have their ruins. What does it mean, ruins? آثارهم. When we came back to their ruins, we found that there's a lot of things that is written in their lives. So those were the first people ever to write history about their lives. Those are the people of Hittites. That's why we know some information about them. If we don't have anything written about those people, then we wouldn't know that they existed aslan. So this is the importance of writing. Another thing about those people, they were the first people to use chariots and real weapons. Actually, the Phoenician people, as I told you, they cared about hunting, they cared about going to fishing, they cared about going to the sea part. But those people, they were the first people to use chariots and real weapons. Just a minute, Mike. Okay, girls. So continuing what we were saying that those people, they were the first people to use chariots and real weapons. Okay, so what does it mean, chariot? This is a chariot. It's a little cart like this, dragged by horses, and they use it in war. As I told you, those people, they were so brave people and fearsome, and they like to go for war and to fight other people. So with their imagination, they made a weapon to go against other people. One of those weapons, and it was very nice and creative, is the chariot. Why? Because when they use it, my girls, they didn't use it like this only. No, sometimes they use the wheel like this, and they put some knives in here. So they go so fast with the other army. The other army would be walking. The people would be walking in their feet. Okay? They will go so fast, and they will just try to go fast with these horses. And with these knives, they cut the legs of those people. Yani even this one is like a weapon.
That's creative, but mean.
Yeah, me. Yes. But after that, guess what? A lot of people, a lot of other civilizations, they took this idea and they applied it in their own lives, because it is a creative. And at that time, you can consider it as a tank. At that time, because they didn't have, of course, technology. So at that time, you can consider it instead of a tank. يعني بدل الدبابة, what we have right now. Some people, they have tanks in their weapons. Some people, they don't. Okay? For example, the Palestinian and the Israeli people. The Israeli people, they have all types of technology and weapons. And the Palestinian people, they have nothing. So when the tank come in front of a person who doesn't have a weapon, who will win? Of course, the person who have the technology. This is always what happened during history. The people who always have more technology and more brains, those are the people who win. The people who have more resources, those are the people who win. That's why Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "Al-mu'min al-qawi khayrun min al-mu'min al-da'if," which means you have always to search for the things that make you stronger and wealthier and more brilliant than others, because this is the only way that you can conquer other people and win upon other people. Okay, this is one of the things that you should know about those people. Chariots were invented by the Hittite people. Okay, were they only focus and good in war? No, actually, they have also artistic side. The artistic side, you can see it from their ruins. This is a shape of their ruins. If you go for Syria or Turkey, you will find the ruins are out there. This is like walls around the city. As I told you, they always make forts around the city and walls around it. So this is a type of the walls that you can find it around the city. And not only they put walls, but also they draw and they make some sculptures and statues upon those walls. Why? Because those people, they thought that these things they will go into protect them, these shapes right here, lions, or maybe a shape of a sun or whatever. They sculpture it and make it as a status on the front of the walls. Why? To make the other people fear of getting inside so they can be protected. And also they thought that these sculptures right here are able to protect them from enemies.
They're so creepy.
So creepy, yes. But for them, at that time, they used to believe in those things, like the Greek. Also, the Greek, they
Ugh.
same thing. They believed in those things, and they said that there's a god for the wind, there's a god for the sea, and each god they imagined that it has a different face. One of the faces, they said, one of the gods have a face of a lion and a body of a human, for example, or a face of a human and a body of lion. So
They're
they had
playing.
yeah, they had several thinking at that time and different from us. Okay, my girls, let's see right now. I want to show you actually something really fun. Not only pictures, I want to show you video. Okay, for the video, my girls, of course, it's a long video. I will give you just a few scenes from here and there, so you can understand more about it.
Of northern Syria. However, this was not to be. Hattushili would die before he could resume his plans. Minor, probably in his late teens.
These are the armies. These are the armies, how they fight in the ancient time. And those people, if you look at it right now, you will find that those people are really sophisticated, right? They are not like old and ignorant people. No, there are people who know about war. There are people who learn how to write. There are people with civilization and king and laws. They are not only they are not only people who's living without law or without rules. No, there are people who are very organized. They have people who have their own addresses for the war, and you have different address if you live in the city. So it's they are really sophisticated people actually.
Mushili, who was then, of course, history is.
Those are the Hittites people, and they use the metals like iron and things to make it as a shield, as you can see, and they make it also as a weapon. Shields, weapons, and also they use to wear it as a shield on their bodies and their heads.
Full of surprises. Hittite.
Okay, let me show you how they use the chariots now. Let me show you. The let's see if they will show us. I'm not sure.
Let us begin. Charge them in and let them do their thing. The other one, I'm going to try to keep it moving.
No, I want to show you a part of a movie actually.